How long have you been putting yourself last? How many days have gone by where you took care of everything and everyone else except you? When was the last time you slowed down and asked yourself what you really need, what you really want, and what's actually good for you? This isn't about being selfish. It's about getting honest. Because if you don't focus on you, no one else will. Your energy is drained. Your mind is scattered. Your goals are sitting in the corner waiting for you to take them seriously. You keep saying someday, but the truth is, nothing changes until you do. This video isn't about hype. It's about waking up. It's about showing you how to stop wasting time on what's holding you back and start investing in what makes you strong. So stay with me. This is your turning point. It's time to focus on you. Finally. Number 1. Take control of your life starting right now. It's time to take control of your life starting right now. Not tomorrow. Not when things feel easier. Not when someone finally believes in you. Right now. You see, one of the most powerful lessons I've ever learned is that no one's going to hand you the life you want. You either take control of it, or you let it slip away day by day while you're waiting for something that's never coming. And I'll tell you this, waiting is the easiest way to waste your entire potential. You've got to wake up and decide that this is your moment. No matter what you've been through, no matter who doubted you, no matter what mistakes you've made or how long you felt stuck, you still have today. You still have breath in your lungs. That means you still have power. That means the clock is still running and the game isn't over. But if you don't step in and take the lead role in your own life, no one else is going to do it for you. Most people spend their whole life reacting to life instead of building it. They respond to problems. They try to make it through the week. They let the noise of the world decide how they should feel, what they should do, and who they should be. They live on autopilot. They go through routines they never chose. They do things they don't even believe in because someone once told them that's just how life is. But that's not life. That's surviving. That's being controlled by everything but yourself. You have to take full responsibility for where you are. Not to blame yourself. Not to shame yourself, but because you can't change anything you won't take ownership of. If you want to change your life, you've got to say, I'm done handing the steering wheel to fear, to people, to the past, to excuses. Because as long as you're waiting for someone else to fix it, or for the perfect time to arrive, you're putting your entire future on hold. Taking control isn't about yelling. It's not about proving anyone wrong. It's not about showing off. It's about sitting down with yourself and asking some honest questions. What do I want? What am I doing that's keeping me from it? What needs to change today? Not later. Today. You've got to stop looking around for shortcuts or saviors. They're not coming. But you are already here. And that's enough. It starts small. You don't need a massive transformation overnight. You need decisions. Real ones. You need a moment where you look yourself in the mirror and you say, no more. No more living for approval. No more wasting time. No more saying yes to everything and everyone while saying no to your own goals. No more lying to yourself just to feel comfortable. Control means choosing how you spend your time. It means understanding that your habits are either moving you forward or keeping you stuck. It means cutting out the things that pull you away from your future, even when they feel good in the moment. It means facing the truth about how you've been living and being strong enough to say, this can't go on. There is no power in pretending. There is no peace in denial. You get stronger when you look at your life and you admit what's not working. You get stronger when you stop defending the old story. You know the one. The one that says you can't change. The one that says you're too far behind. The one that says it's too late. That story has to go. It has to be replaced with a new one. A real one. A story that starts with today. A story that says, I may not be where I want to be, but I refuse to stay here. Some people spend years avoiding responsibility because they think it's heavy. But the truth is, responsibility is the only thing that gives you real freedom. You get to choose how you show up. You get to choose what you tolerate. You get to choose what you build. But you can't do that if you're blaming everything and everyone for where you are. That keeps you powerless. That keeps you small. And you were not made to stay small. Look, I know what it feels like to fall behind. I know what it feels like to wake up and not even recognize the person in the mirror. I've been there. But I also know what it feels like to make a decision that changes everything. It doesn't fix everything overnight. It doesn't make the pain disappear, but it gives you something even more valuable: direction. You stop drifting and you start moving. There's a version of you that's stronger than your excuses. There's a version of you that's capable of doing what you've been avoiding, but you can't access that version while living in fear. You can't grow if you're not willing to leave behind what's holding you back. Taking control is not about being perfect. It's about being honest. It's about admitting what's not working and doing something about it. Not talking, doing. You've got to fight for yourself now. Not by arguing with others. Not by begging people to see your value, but by showing up every single day and proving to yourself that you are worth the effort. You are worth the discomfort. You are worth the discipline. You are worth saying no to distractions. You are worth building something better. There's no secret formula. There's no magic in motivation alone. The truth is, you will only change your life when it becomes non-negotiable. When you decide that staying where you are is more painful than doing the work to change it. When you stop settling. When you stop making peace with situations that drain you. When you stop ignoring your potential just to keep others comfortable. Right now, you need to ask yourself what you really want. Not what looks good. Not what will make others happy. Not what sounds impressive. What do you want that actually matters to you? And once you know it, you've got to act like it. Every single day. With your words. With your time. With your choices. Because your life is not the result of what you say you want. It's the result of what you do. You've got to become more intentional with everything. How you wake up. Who you talk to. What you allow into your mind. The things you choose to ignore. The goals you write down. The promises you keep to yourself. These things shape your life more than motivation ever will. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop waiting to feel ready. You won't start where you are, with what you have. That's where every breakthrough begins. That's where every comeback starts. When you get tired of your own excuses. When you finally say, I've had enough of this version of me. That's when the new path opens. The world is full of people who gave up on themselves because it was easier to let go than to fight. Don't be one of them. Don't hand over your future because the process feels uncomfortable. Don't wait for someone to rescue you. You don't need a rescue. You need a decision. You need courage. You need consistency. You need to believe that your future is worth the price of discipline today. Because here's the truth. Pain is part of both paths. You either feel the pain of staying stuck or the pain of pushing through. You decide. But only one of those pains leads to a better life. Only one of them gives you your power back. Only one of them turns frustration into freedom. And that's the path where you take control. I'm telling you today, no one is coming to live your life for you. No one's going to force you to succeed. No one's going to push you to grow forever. At some point, you've got to want it bad enough to show up no matter how it feels. You've got to want it bad enough to say no to things that feel easy and say yes to things that build you. You've got to be willing to make yourself uncomfortable so you can become someone stronger. This is the only life you get. Don't spend it watching others build theirs while you sit in silence, hoping something will change. Change doesn't come to the silent. It comes to the serious. It comes to the person who's done wasting time. It comes to the person who decides they will no longer sit back and let the years pass with nothing to show for it. Take control of your life, starting right now. Not later, not next week. Right now. Because right now you still have the power to do something about it. You still have a choice. You still have today. And that is more than enough. Start building the life you keep thinking about. Start becoming the person you say you want to be. Make the choice that sets everything in motion. Because no one can do it for you. But you can do it. And if you do it now, your future will thank you. Number 2. Cut off anything that drains your mental energy. You've got to protect your mental energy like your life depends on it. Because it does. When your mind is tired, your decisions suffer. When your mind is scattered, your progress slows. When your mind is surrounded by noise, negativity, and pressure, it stops working in your favor and starts working against you. And here's the truth. Most people never take seriously. You don't just lose energy because you're working too hard. Most of the time you lose energy because you're tolerating too much of what you shouldn't. It's the conversations you shouldn't be in, the people you shouldn't be around, the habits that drain you, the distractions that keep stealing your focus, the overthinking, the constant checking of what others are doing with their life instead of building your own. These things eat away at you slowly. You won't even notice it at first. But one day you wake up feeling tired before the day even begins. You feel heavy without knowing why. And it's not because life got harder overnight. It's because your mental energy has been leaking for too long. So if you're serious about living on a higher level, the first thing you've got to do is cut off what drains you, not reduce it, not manage it. Cut it off. Because anything that keeps pulling you down will eventually stop you from climbing up. And it doesn't matter how ambitious you are, how smart you are, or how motivated you feel. If your mind is always under attack, you won't have the strength to stay consistent. Now let's be clear, this isn't about being cold. This is about being clear. You have to get honest with yourself about the environments and people that are costing you your peace. Look around and ask yourself, what's taking more than it's giving? What leaves me feeling frustrated, drained, or defeated? The answers might not be easy, but they will be necessary. Mental energy is like your internal currency, and if you keep spending it on things that don't move you forward, you'll go broke inside. You'll keep showing up to life empty, irritated, reactive, and confused. You won't have clarity. You won't feel like yourself. You'll be alive, but you won't be fully living. And eventually, you'll start thinking something is wrong with you, when in reality, it's what you're allowing around you that's causing the damage. You don't need more time. You need less distraction. You need fewer pointless arguments. Fewer moments scrolling past things that make you feel worse about your life. Fewer people complaining, comparing, gossiping, blaming, and unloading their problems onto you every time they feel overwhelmed. That's not your responsibility. Your job is not to be everyone's emotional sponge. Your job is to protect your energy, so you can keep building a life that matters. Too many people are mentally exhausted, not because they're doing meaningful work, but because they're constantly managing chaos that doesn't belong to them. They're constantly tied to people who won't take responsibility for their own behavior. They're trying to fix everything, solve everything, be everywhere, respond to everything. That's not strength. That's self-neglect. And it doesn't lead to peace. It leads to resentment. You've got to stop trying to be everything to everyone. You weren't built for that, and the people who really respect you won't expect that. They'll understand when you say no. They'll support you when you set boundaries. The people who take it personally, those are the ones who are benefiting from your lack of limits. And those are the ones you need to create space from. Mental fatigue isn't always solved by rest. Sometimes, it's solved by subtraction. Sometimes, the best thing you can do for yourself is to remove what's been slowly wearing you down. That group chat that's always negative, mute it. That person who only calls to complain, create distance. That habit that wastes an hour of your day and gives you nothing in return, let it go. That constant checking of things that only make you feel behind, stop feeding it. You're not weak for walking away from what's draining you. You're wise. You're not selfish for choosing peace. You're strong. And the more you honor your energy, the more clearly you'll be able to think, the more effectively you'll be able to work, and the more deeply you'll be able to enjoy your life. Because when your mind is right, everything else starts to line up. One of the most valuable skills you can develop is knowing how to protect your attention. What you give your attention to will shape your entire experience. If you constantly feed your mind with stress, noise, and drama, it will stay in a state of survival. It'll stay alert, anxious, defensive, and overwhelmed. But if you feed it clarity, focus, purpose, and peace, it becomes sharp, confident, and ready to handle life. You can't afford to spend your mental energy on things that don't matter. Not anymore. Not if you really want to grow. You've got dreams to build. You've got goals to chase. You've got a future that requires your full strength. And you can't bring that strength if you're mentally tied up in battles that drain you before your day even begins. Start being selective with your time. Start becoming protective of your thoughts. Start curating your life like it matters, because it does. You're not here to just survive. You're here to become something more. And becoming something more means choosing better. Every time, even when it's uncomfortable, even when people don't understand. Because the truth is, not everyone will understand your need for space. Not everyone will respect your growth. But that doesn't mean you stop. That doesn't mean you go back to old patterns just to stay liked. You've got to keep going. You've got to choose your peace over their approval. You've got to trust that the people meant for you will meet you where you are, not try to pull you back into who you used to be. Everything around you is either feeding your energy or draining it. There is no neutral. You need to pay attention to how things make you feel after you engage with them. If you leave feeling tense, scattered, or heavy, that's a sign. That's your mind telling you this isn't good for you. And you've got to respect that signal. You've got to trust your own awareness. Most people are too distracted to even notice how much of their energy is being stolen. They think it's normal to always feel tired. They think it's normal to constantly be stressed, irritated, or numb. But that's not normal. That's your mind reacting to all the pressure it's under. And the only way to stop it is to start cleaning house. You need to do an audit. Who do you talk to the most? What kind of conversations are you having? How much time are you spending on things that give you nothing in return? What are you watching, listening to, thinking about? Because all of these things become the fuel for your mind. And if the fuel is bad, your life won't run well, no matter how much effort you put in. This is where maturity kicks in. You realize that growth isn't just about adding new things. It's also about removing what no longer belongs. It's about having the courage to walk away from what drains you, even if it once felt familiar or comfortable. Because the truth is, comfort is often the enemy of progress. It convinces you to stay stuck. It convinces you to keep peace with things that rob your strength. And you've got to be strong enough to break out of that. You'll never get to your full potential if your mind is constantly in survival mode. You've got to create space for clarity. You've got to give yourself room to think clearly, feel deeply, and move with intention. And that only happens when you take back your mental energy from everything and everyone that's been stealing it. This is how you get your strength back. This is how you start making real progress. Not by doing more, but by doing less of what doesn't serve you. That's the real breakthrough. That's where you get your power back. And that's where the peace you've been chasing finally shows up. Not because life got easier, but because you got clearer. Your focus is a resource. Your attention is valuable. Your mind is sacred. Don't let the world treat it like a trash bin. Don't let every piece of noise, gossip, complaint, or comparison live in your head rent-free. You've got to be the gatekeeper of your mind now. You've got to decide who gets access, what gets airtime, and what needs to be cut off completely. You owe it to yourself to stop pouring energy into black holes. You owe it to yourself to stop engaging in things that leave you worse than they found you. You owe it to yourself to build a mental space that empowers you, supports you, and strengthens you. It won't happen by accident. It will happen when you decide to take your peace seriously. When you stop negotiating your mental health for temporary approval or comfort. When you finally say, this no longer fits the person I'm becoming. And when you do that, when you start cutting off what drains you, you'll feel lighter, sharper, stronger. That version of you is possible. But it starts with subtraction. Start cutting, start clearing, start choosing, and watch how fast your life begins to feel right again. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Number 3, protect your time like your future depends on it. Let's talk about something that most people never really take seriously until it's too late: your time. See, if you ever want to create something meaningful, build a life you're proud of, or become someone who can truly stand tall with no regrets, it all starts with how you treat the hours, the minutes, and even the seconds of your day. Time is not just a number on the clock. It's your life being spent right now. And once it's gone, there's no refund, no negotiation, no second round. That's why you must protect your time like your future depends on it. Because it absolutely does. If you don't learn to value your time, someone else will use it for you. That's a brutal reality. but it's true. There's always going to be someone asking for your attention, wanting a piece of your schedule, offering something that sounds urgent but holds no real value. They'll pull you into distractions, emergencies that aren't yours, conversations that drain you, routines that don't serve you. And if you keep saying yes to everything, you'll look up one day and realize you've said no to the life you actually wanted. Your time is your responsibility. Every hour you waste on things that don't move you forward is a piece of your dream fading away quietly. And it doesn't come with fireworks or alarms. It comes with slow regret, little by little, when you start to notice you're not where you thought you'd be. And the truth is, it's not because you didn't have enough talent or opportunity. It's because your time went to everything but what mattered. You've got to develop the strength to guard your schedule like your goals live inside it, because they do. If you want a better future, you've got to protect the present. Don't just give your time away freely. Make people earn your attention. Make sure your environment respects your mission. Be unavailable for nonsense. Be hard to reach for anything that doesn't align with your direction. That's not arrogance. That's discipline. That's clarity. That's self-respect. And it's not about being rude or cold. It's about being real. You only get 24 hours in a day. And part of maturity is realizing that those 24 hours are the most powerful tool you have to change your life. If you keep wasting your days, you're wasting the only resource you can't ever get back. Time is not just a currency. It's your legacy being built moment by moment. Use it wrong, and it costs you. Use it right, and it transforms you. You don't get to where you want to be by accident. You don't become disciplined, focused, and successful just because you have big dreams. You get there by taking control of how you spend your day. You get there by saying no when it's hard, by walking away from the distractions you secretly enjoy, by structuring your life around what truly matters, not what feels easy. Every choice has a cost. Every yes you say to something meaningless is a no to something essential. Think about the moments that have truly made a difference in your life. They were never moments of mindless scrolling, gossip, or pointless entertainment. They were moments of decision, of effort, of silence, where you heard your inner voice say, "You were made for more." But that voice gets drowned out when your life is noisy. You need quiet to hear your truth. You need time to work on what actually builds you. And that only happens when you protect your time like it's gold. And let me tell you something else. You teach people how to treat your time by the way you treat it yourself. If you act like your schedule is open for anything, don't be surprised when people dump their problems on you, waste your attention, or drag you into things you never signed up for. But when you start saying, "This is my time and I'm going to use it wisely," people start respecting your boundaries. More importantly, you start respecting yourself. Stop filling your calendar with noise. Stop making space for things that don't feed your purpose. Start designing your day around what will make you proud at the end of it. You've got things to do, skills to build, health to protect, dreams to chase. Don't let that slip away because you were too afraid to say no. Saying no isn't negative. It's powerful. It's how you keep your life aligned with your vision, and your vision is worth protecting. You don't have time to waste wondering what people think of you. You don't have time to keep explaining your priorities to people who don't understand your mission. You don't have time to entertain self-doubt or comparison. You don't have time to drift. Every second you hesitate, someone else is out there taking full control of their day, their energy, and their future. And every day you let slip is one you'll never get back. If your goals mean anything to you, then your time should mean everything. You can't let distractions win. You can't let small things become big problems in your head. You can't let your focus be stolen. You've got to protect your time like your success depends on it, because it does. You've got to treat it like your future self is watching you, because one day they will be, and they'll either thank you or blame you. Imagine the life you want 5 years from now. Picture the clarity, the freedom, the strength you wish you had. That version of you isn't built in some fantasy. It's built day by day in how you spend your time. Are you making time to learn, to grow, to develop yourself mentally, physically, emotionally? Or are you losing hours every day to the same old routines that bring nothing but frustration? The uncomfortable truth is this: if you're not protecting your time, you're not protecting your future. And most people never face that. They think they'll just get serious one day. But here's the thing: one day isn't coming unless you make it today. You've got to draw the line now. You've got to start saying, I'm not available for distractions. I'm not available for average. I'm not available for anything that doesn't match where I'm going. You don't need more time. You need more direction, more control, more self-respect. And that starts with taking ownership of how you spend every single day. Don't let people make you feel guilty for having boundaries. Don't apologize for saying no. Don't explain yourself for wanting to grow. This is your life, not theirs. And if you don't build it intentionally, it'll be built by accident. And that's a risk you can't afford. You want peace of mind? Protect your time. You want to feel confident again? Take back your schedule. You want to feel proud at the end of each day? Focus on what matters. That's where real success lives. Not in big dramatic changes, but in how you manage your minutes. Because when your time is protected, your focus is sharp. And when your focus is sharp, your progress is undeniable. Your future depends on what you do today. And your today is made up of tiny decisions that either move you forward or pull you off course. The difference between winning and losing is often found in how well you guard your hours. So be ruthless about it. Wake up earlier. Shut out the noise. Limit your access. Be deliberate with your energy. Don't be afraid to disconnect from what doesn't build you. You've only got this one life. You don't get extra hours for good intentions. You get the same time as everyone else. The question is, how are you using it? Because your future self is waiting on the choices you make today, not tomorrow, not next week, now. So start now. Cut the waste, block the distractions, and build a schedule that honors the vision you have inside you. That's how you win. That's how you change. That's how you rise. Not by talking about it, but by living it hour by hour, minute by minute, decision by decision. And the sooner you start treating your time like it matters, the sooner your results will reflect it. Let the world know by how you move that you're not here to play small. You're here to protect what matters most. And it starts with your time. Number 4, say no to people who use your kindness. Let's speak honestly, because no one else will. Some people don't want your love. They don't want your help. They don't care about your generosity, your support, or your good heart. They just want what they can take. They want the part of you that serves them. They want your energy when they're low, your silence when they're wrong, and your effort when they don't deserve it. And if you let them, they will keep taking until you are left with nothing but guilt and exhaustion. This is why you must learn to say no. Not later. Not when it's easier. Now. Say no to people who use your kindness like it's their personal lifeline. You don't owe everyone access to you. You don't have to keep explaining yourself. You don't have to keep showing up for people who only reach out when they want something. Your life is not a rescue mission. Your soul is not a doormat. You have value. You have limits. And you have the right to protect them, even if it makes someone else uncomfortable. There's a kind of pain that comes from being used. Not because you didn't see it coming, but because you saw it happening and you stayed anyway. You gave the benefit of the doubt. You made excuses. You told yourself they would change. You hoped your patience would turn into appreciation. But some people don't change. They just get better at disguising their selfishness. And every time you gave, they took. Every time you forgave, they repeated. And every time you bent your boundaries, they pushed further. That's not love. That's manipulation. Saying no is not cruelty. Saying no is clarity. It's recognizing the difference between being kind and being used. Because real kindness isn't about letting yourself get drained for the comfort of others. Real kindness is rooted in truth, in courage, in knowing when to draw the line. You can't keep saving people who won't even save themselves. You can't keep answering the calls that leave you empty. There comes a point when your peace must matter more than their approval. The truth is, not everyone deserves your heart. Not everyone should get your time. Just because someone is in your life doesn't mean they belong there forever. And the moment you realize someone is using your kindness as a tool for their convenience, you owe it to yourself to walk away. You don't need permission to protect your soul. You don't need validation to say, this is no longer good for me. You just need to believe that your well-being is worth defending. People who truly value you don't need to be begged to treat you right. They don't disappear when you need them. They don't gaslight you into thinking you're too sensitive for having boundaries. They don't guilt trip you for choosing yourself. But users, they'll do all of that and more. They'll twist your compassion into weakness. They'll use your fear of being alone against you. They'll exploit your empathy until you feel guilty for even thinking about putting yourself first. That's how emotional leeches operate. They don't ask for much in the beginning. They take little bits, a favor here, a phone call there. They build trust by pretending to care. But as soon as you need something back, they vanish. As soon as you stand up for yourself, they act offended. As soon as you stop enabling them, they call you selfish. But let me say this clearly. Choosing your own peace over someone else's chaos is not selfish. It's necessary. It's what keeps you sane. It's what keeps you strong. You've got to get comfortable being misunderstood. You've got to be okay with people getting mad when you stop playing the role they assign to you. Let them talk. Let them leave. Let them call you cold. What matters is that you stop giving the best of yourself to people who don't even give you the bare minimum. You deserve better than that. You always did. You were just too loyal to see it. And sometimes, it's not even about them being evil. It's about them being entitled. They think they're owed your kindness because you've always been there. They expect you to keep giving, no matter how little they return. But your kindness is not a guarantee. It's a gift. And if someone can't appreciate it, they don't deserve it. You've got to stop watering dead plants. You've got to stop feeding people who only take, because if you don't, one day you'll look in the mirror and not recognize the tired, drained, quiet version of yourself staring back. Boundaries are not walls, they're doors. They protect what matters inside. And what's inside is your spirit, your goals, your peace, your health. Protect it. Not everyone gets to come in. Some people need to be kept out, not because you hate them, but because you love yourself enough to stop bleeding for those who wouldn't even offer you a bandage. It's okay to be the kind one. It's beautiful to be the giver, but not at the cost of your soul. Not if it keeps breaking you. You can be kind and still say no. You can be generous and still protect your energy. You can love deeply and still refuse to be disrespected. Kindness does not mean compliance. Compassion does not mean self-sacrifice. And love, real love, does not require you to suffer endlessly for someone else's convenience. If you've been that person who's always saying yes because you're afraid to disappoint someone, listen closely. You're not obligated to carry people who won't walk beside you. You're not responsible for someone else's constant drama. You're not heartless for protecting your time, your energy, your peace. The right people will understand. The wrong ones will leave. And that's a gift. Let them go. The more you respect your boundaries, the clearer you'll see who respects you. Watch what happens when you say no. Pay attention to how people react when you finally prioritize your well-being. The ones who cared about you for real will respect your space. The ones who only cared about using you will show their true colors. And yes, it might hurt at first, but it's the kind of hurt that leads to healing. You don't need to explain your no. You don't have to justify your peace. You don't owe people your energy just because they expect it. You owe yourself a life that isn't constantly dictated by guilt and obligation. And the moment you realize that is the moment you start reclaiming your power. This life will test you. People will test you. And the more generous you are, the more you'll attract those who only want what you can give. That's why discernment matters. That's why strength matters. That's why your no must be firm. Because your kindness should never be a gateway to your destruction. Your love should build people, not break you. Let go of the idea that saying no makes you a bad person. Let go of the fear that setting boundaries means losing love. The love that leaves because you won't be used was never love to begin with. The respect that disappears when you protect yourself was never real. And the people who vanish when you stop sacrificing your peace were never truly for you. Stand firm. Choose yourself. Refuse to be drained. Refuse to be guilted into silence. Refuse to be the one who always bends while others break you. You're not here to be everyone's emotional sponge. You're not here to be used. You're here to live fully, boldly, freely. And that starts the moment you stop apologizing for protecting your heart. It takes strength to say no. It takes courage to walk away. It takes clarity to recognize the patterns. But once you do, once you make that choice to stop allowing your kindness to be exploited, everything begins to change. You get your energy back. You reclaim your time. You rebuild your confidence. You start moving with purpose again. And most importantly, you begin to attract the people who love you for real. So stop holding back your truth. Stop hiding your pain. Stop pretending everything's fine while your soul gets tired. Speak up. Walk away. Set the boundary. Burn the bridge if you have to. Because your peace is worth more than fake connections. Your future is worth more than temporary comfort. And your kindness is sacred. It should never be handed to people who treat it like it's disposable. You don't have to be angry to say no. You don't have to fight or explain. Just say it. And mean it. Quietly. Powerfully. Completely. Let your no be a sentence, not a debate. Let it be a full stop, not an invitation. And let the chips fall where they may. Because at the end of the day, the only person who has to live with the consequences of constantly being used is you. And the only one who can stop that cycle is you. Not by becoming cold, not by shutting your heart off, but by finally learning how to protect it. Because a kind heart with no boundaries isn't noble. It's vulnerable. And you deserve more than to be someone else's backup plan, emotional crutch, or fallback option. You are not weak for loving deeply. You are not wrong for being giving. But you do need to be strong enough to stop the bleeding when someone keeps cutting you. Say no. Not because you don't care, but because you finally do. Say no. Not out of bitterness, but out of wisdom. Say no. Not to punish them, but to protect you. Because your peace is priceless. And it's time you started treating it that way. Number 5. Build a daily routine that puts you first. Let me tell you something simple. Something people often miss in the noise of the world. If you don't put yourself first, no one else will. It's not because people are bad. It's not because they don't care. It's because most people are already drowning in their own chaos. They're overwhelmed, distracted, consumed. So if you don't wake up every morning and decide that you matter, truly matter, the world will move on without you. It's not personal. It's just how life works. But if you can understand the value of building a daily routine that puts you first, everything in your life begins to shift. See, every day that you wake up, you are presented with one of the most powerful opportunities of your entire life. That opportunity is control. You might not control the weather. You might not control what other people say or do, but you do control how you begin. You control what you decide to give your energy to. You control what you feed your mind. You control whether your day begins with silence and structure, or chaos and anxiety. That's where power begins. Not in motivation, not in hype, but in the silent, repetitive, deliberate actions you commit to. Every single morning that remind you, I am worth the effort. You need a routine that isn't built on reacting. You need a routine that isn't about putting out fires. You need a routine that isn't shaped by everyone else's wants. You need a routine that says, my mind, my health, my time, my energy, they matter. Because the truth is, if you don't claim your own time, someone else will. If you don't shape your life, someone else will use you to build theirs. You've got to wake up and take that time back. You've got to say, from this moment forward, I decide how my day begins. I decide what gets my attention. I decide what fuels me, what builds me, what strengthens me. It doesn't have to be complicated. It just has to be yours. Maybe it starts with a walk in silence. Maybe it's 10 minutes with a journal. Maybe it's shutting off your phone and sitting alone to just breathe before you touch the rest of the world. That's your space. That's your center. That's the foundation of every strong day. When you do that, something powerful happens. Your self-respect starts to grow. You start to feel a quiet pride. Not because everything's perfect, but because you showed up for you. Most people are constantly rushing, constantly giving, constantly answering, and they wonder why they feel empty. It's because they've abandoned themselves. They've left no space for reflection, no time for their own thoughts, no discipline to care for their energy. And if you do that long enough, you start to feel invisible in your own life. You feel like you're moving, but you're not going anywhere. You're producing, but you're not fulfilled. That's what happens when you live in response to the world, instead of building a world around your values. So let's talk truth. Let's talk about what it really means to build a daily routine that puts you first. It means making non-negotiables. It means drawing a hard line that says this time belongs to me, not out of selfishness, but out of survival. Not out of ego, but out of clarity. Because when you start your day in chaos, everything gets messy. Your decisions get sloppy. Your emotions take over. But when you start your day from a place of calm control, you respond better. You think clearer. You move with intention. And most of all, you begin to build a quiet confidence that only comes from showing up for yourself when no one's watching. Let's say you wake up, and instead of reaching for your phone, you reach for your journal. You sit down, and for 5 minutes, you just write about what you want out of your day. That one act sends a message to your brain. Today belongs to me. Or maybe you go for a run, not because it's trendy, but because it clears your mind. Maybe you sit in stillness. Maybe you read something that challenges you. Maybe you meditate. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it serves you. As long as it's an intentional act that says, before I serve the world, I serve myself. And here's the thing nobody wants to admit. It's not always going to feel good. Some days you won't want to get out of bed. Some days the routine will feel boring, but do it anyway. Because it's not about how you feel, it's about who you're becoming. Every time you honor that time for yourself, you build discipline. Every time you show up for your own growth, even when it's inconvenient, you send a signal to your subconscious. I matter. My life matters. My goals matter. What's the alternative? Living for everyone else's approval, giving all your energy away before you've had time to replenish your own. That's a fast track to burnout. That's how people lose themselves. Slowly, quietly, by saying yes to everything but themselves. And then one day, they wake up tired, numb, disconnected. Not because life's hard, but because they gave all their best moments to everyone but themselves. But that's not the life you're here for. You're not here to be a machine. You're not here to live on autopilot. You're here to build something meaningful. And that starts by saying, my life deserves structure. My dreams deserve priority. My peace deserves protection. You don't need a 10-step plan. You just need a commitment to show up. Maybe you choose one thing to do every single morning. No matter what, that becomes your anchor. That becomes your reminder. And over time, that one thing grows. You begin to add more to your routine. Not out of pressure, but out of momentum. You start to crave that time. You start to love the clarity, the focus, the stillness, and most of all, the control. Because when your day begins with you, everything else falls into place. You become less reactive. You stop chasing. You stop comparing. You start to feel grounded. And that grounding changes the way you walk into every room. It changes the way you handle pressure. It changes the way you talk to yourself. That's not luck. That's not chance. That's the result of deliberate effort. That's the reward of choosing you when no one else is watching. And you know what else? People start to notice. They might not say it, but they feel it. Your energy changes. Your presence sharpens. Your words carry more weight. Because when someone has taken time to build themselves from the inside out, you can feel it. It's not arrogance. It's alignment. It's the kind of presence that comes from someone who refuses to abandon themselves for the noise of the world. And here's what's really powerful. When you put yourself first, you actually have more to give. More focus, more patience, more strength, more clarity. Because you're not running on empty. You're not pretending. You're not stretching yourself so thin that you disappear. You've filled your own cup. And that overflow, that's what you give to others. That's the power of building a daily routine that puts you first. It makes you strong enough to carry the weight of your own life. So start now, not tomorrow, not next week, not when life slows down. Now, even if it's just 5 minutes, even if you don't know what to do, just sit, just breathe, just write, just move. Pick something and stick with it. Because every day that you show up for you, you get stronger. And every day that you get stronger, your life gets better. That's how you build a life you don't need to escape from. That's how you become the kind of person who doesn't need motivation, because your routine has already built discipline. That's how you build self-respect, by earning it from yourself, not from applause, not from followers, not from external validation, from showing up every day, no matter what. Make your routine your refuge. Make it your foundation. Make it the most sacred part of your day, and guard it, protect it, honor it, because if you don't, nobody else will. Your future depends on it. Your peace depends on it. Your confidence depends on it. And most of all, your life depends on it. Start today. Build that time. Claim that power. And never again let the world convince you that everything else matters more than you. Number 6. Push yourself to grow even when it hurts. Let's be real about something. Most people won't tell you straight. Growth is painful. Not sometimes. Not occasionally. Every single time. Because growing means tearing away the layers of who you were. It means giving up comfort. It means letting go of what's familiar. Even if that familiarity is what's been keeping you small. You don't grow when it feels good. You grow when it burns. You grow when everything in you wants to stop. And you keep going anyway. And that's the truth most people run from. They don't want the discomfort. They want progress without pain. But life doesn't work that way. Life respects effort. Life rewards those who push through. Growth doesn't happen in silence. It doesn't show up when you're relaxed and everything's in place. It shows up when you're stretched, when your back is against the wall, when your excuses have run out and all that's left is choice: stay the same or rise. That's where transformation lives. In that moment when you have every reason to quit and you choose to take one more step. That's not just growth. That's power. And that power builds a version of you that nothing can shake. It's easy to talk about success. Easy to talk about ambition and goals and dreams. But what people don't talk about is the mess in between. The fear that creeps in at night. The doubt that whispers in your mind when progress slows down. The frustration when you don't see results. That's where people give up. Not because they're weak, but because no one ever told them that the pain is part of the process. That the struggle is where you become someone new. That the discomfort is proof that you're moving in the right direction. Because if it doesn't challenge you, it will never change you. If it doesn't test your limits, you'll never know how far you can go. That's why the people who win, the ones who really build something out of nothing, they're not the ones who had it easy. They're the ones who felt the weight of the process and moved anyway. They're the ones who were tired and confused and broken down and didn't stop. They pushed themselves to grow even when it hurt. That's what separates the few from the many. The willingness to endure when it's not exciting. The discipline to keep showing up when the progress is invisible. The courage to trust the process even when everything inside you says turn back. You want change? You want transformation? Then you've got to be willing to suffer a little. You've got to be willing to step into that fire. Not because you enjoy the pain, but because you know the other side of that pain is where your new life begins. Growth doesn't ask for your permission. It demands your participation. It doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you're tired. It shows up and says, let's see what you're made of. And the truth is, most people walk away. Most people crumble because they confuse pain with failure. But pain isn't the enemy. Pain is the evidence. It's the signal. It's the sign that something inside you is shifting, being refined, tested, and rebuilt stronger. That's the moment you've got to hold. That's the moment you've got to grab with both hands and say, I'm not letting go until I break through. Not because it feels good, not because it's easy, but because the cost of staying the same is too high. Because living a life where you shrink, where you settle, where you stop pushing, is a slow kind of death. You lose your fire, you lose your edge. You start to blend in, and something inside you knows, this isn't it. This isn't the life I was meant to live. You've got to want the growth more than you want the comfort. You've got to stop chasing easy. You've got to stop waiting for everything to line up. Because it won't. Life doesn't wait. Time doesn't pause. And the longer you delay, the more regret builds. And regret is a pain that never leaves. Growth hurts now. Regret hurts forever. Choose your pain. One will shape you. The other will haunt you. And look, you're going to be scared. That's normal. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to feel lost. But just because you feel it doesn't mean you stop. Fear doesn't mean quit. Doubt doesn't mean turn back. It means you're alive. It means you're on the edge of something important. You push through that, and you find the version of yourself you've never met. You find the strength you didn't know you had. You become someone you're proud of. Not because life handed it to you, but because you earned it. There will be days when the weight feels unbearable, when you question why you're even doing this, when you look around and see others coasting, and wonder if maybe you're doing too much. But deep down you know the truth. They're not living your story. They don't carry your dreams. They don't know the fire inside you that refuses to settle. And that fire is your responsibility. Nobody else will tend to it. Nobody else will protect it. You've got to fight for it, even when it hurts. Because you're not just building goals. You're building character. You're not just chasing success. You're becoming someone who can sustain it. That takes work. That takes showing up when the excitement is gone. That takes standing tall when it would be easier to shrink. Every decision you make in that space matters. Every action you take when you're tired becomes part of your foundation. And the deeper that foundation, the higher you can rise. Let people think you're crazy. Let them misunderstand your process. Let them roll their eyes when you keep pushing. Keep striving, keep growing. Because one day they'll ask how you did it, and you'll look them in the eyes and say, I didn't stop when it hurt. That's your edge. That's your advantage. That's the truth behind every real success story. Someone was willing to endure what others avoided. Push yourself because you deserve more. Push yourself because life isn't going to hand it to you. Push yourself because deep down you know you were meant for more than just survival. You were built for impact. You were built for legacy. But legacy is not given. It's earned in the grind, in the struggle, in the moments when you keep climbing even with tears in your eyes and fire in your chest. That's where greatness is forged. In silence, in solitude, in pain. You're not weak for feeling tired. You're not broken because you want to give up. You're human. But inside that human body is a spirit that can endure more than you can imagine. And the only way to meet that spirit, to really see what you're capable of, is to push past the doubt, past the fear, past the pain, into the unknown, into the growth. Because there's a version of you on the other side of that pain, stronger, wiser, more focused. And that version doesn't come from reading books. It doesn't come from listening to hype. It comes from action. It comes from walking through the fire. It comes from pushing. When everything in you screams, stop. Don't waste your pain. Don't numb it. Don't avoid it. Use it. Let it drive you. Let it teach you. Let it mold you into someone that you can look in the mirror and say, I'm proud of you. Not because everything is perfect. Not because you've arrived. But because you didn't give in. You didn't break. You rose. You kept going. You kept building. You kept believing. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. Because your dreams deserve a version of you that doesn't fold. Your purpose deserves a version of you that shows up. And the only way to become that version is to keep pushing, even when it hurts. Especially when it hurts. This is your moment. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now push yourself. Test yourself. Don't stop until your growth becomes your identity. Until pain no longer scares you. Until every struggle becomes proof that you're becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. And when it's hard, when it's dark, remember this is the work that most people avoid. But not you. You're here. You're in it. And you're going to keep going. Until the world has no choice but to respect the force you've become. Number 7. Get serious about what truly matters to you. There comes a point in your life when you have to stop playing around with your time, your focus, and your energy. You have to stop making excuses for why you're drifting, why you're stuck, why things aren't working. There comes a moment when you have to sit yourself down and say, enough. Enough distraction. Enough delay. Enough pretending that everything is fine when deep down you know it's not. Because if you keep going like this, time will slip by. And one day you'll wake up and realize that you've built a life full of things that don't even matter to you. That's the real tragedy. Not failure, not mistakes, but success in the wrong direction. Winning at something that means nothing to your heart. Climbing a ladder that leads to a wall you never even cared about. You see, most people don't fail because they're lazy. They fail because they never stop to ask themselves, what do I truly want? What actually matters to me? What am I willing to fight for every single day, even when it's hard? And until you ask that, until you face those questions with brutal honesty, you're going to keep running in circles, busy but not effective, moving but not progressing, surrounded by noise but empty inside. You have to get serious. And I mean truly serious. The kind of serious where your decisions start to match your values. The kind of serious where you stop letting other people's opinions dictate your direction. The kind of serious where you stop negotiating with distractions. This isn't about doing more. This is about doing what counts. You don't need a longer to-do list. You need clarity. You need to decide what you're willing to give your life to, and what you're no longer available for. Because everything is a trade. Every moment you give to what doesn't matter is a moment stolen from what does. And you feel that. You feel it in your gut. You feel it when you're doing something meaningless and that voice inside you says, this isn't it. That voice is your truth. And you've been ignoring it long enough. You can't keep living on autopilot. You can't keep chasing things just because the world told you they were important. You have to define what's real for you. And don't expect that to be easy. The moment you get serious, you're going to feel resistance. You're going to feel fear. You're going to start noticing how much of your life has been shaped by trying to please others, by chasing approval, by avoiding discomfort. But that awareness, that's your power. That's the beginning of freedom. Because now you see the game. And once you see the game, you can stop playing it. You can start choosing differently. You can start building a life that actually reflects your values, not someone else's version of success. This is the work, the inner work, the deep, uncomfortable, revealing work. And most people avoid it. They'd rather stay distracted than face themselves. But if you're going to build anything meaningful, if you're going to create something that lasts in your career, in your relationships, in your character, then you've got to do this. You've got to face the silence. You've got to get real about your patterns. You've got to confront the truth that maybe, just maybe, you've been wasting time chasing things that were never yours to begin with. It's humbling. It's painful. But it's also liberating. Because once you get clear, everything changes. Your energy stops leaking into meaningless things. Your time starts flowing toward your real priorities. You stop trying to be everything to everyone and start focusing on what you were actually born to do. You stop settling. You stop apologizing. You stop hiding behind distractions, and you start living with intention. And I mean real intention. Not just putting goals on a vision board. Not just writing affirmations. I'm talking about living in a way where your daily actions prove what matters to you. Because that's what reveals the truth. Not your words, your habits, not your wishes, your effort. It's not enough to say you care. You have to show it. You have to prove it to yourself through the way you spend your minutes, your energy, your attention. You want a better life? Then protect what matters. Defend it from distraction. Build boundaries around it like your life depends on it. Because it does. Every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you say no to something that does. And those little choices, they add up. That's how you build a life that either fills you with pride or drains you with regret. Not all at once, but moment by moment, choice by choice. So here's the hard truth. You have to stop lying to yourself. You have to stop saying you don't have time, when really you're just not focused. You have to stop saying you want something when your actions say otherwise. You have to stop pretending that one day things will just magically work out. They won't. Not unless you get serious. Not unless you take control of your focus and start organizing your life around what actually matters. And that means you're going to have to let some things go. Old habits, shallow goals, people who drain you, patterns that feel safe but keep you stuck. You don't rise while clinging to what holds you down. You have to release. You have to say this no longer serves me, and move forward without guilt. That's not selfish. That's necessary. You're not here to live a life that pleases everyone. You're here to live a life that fulfills you, that aligns with your values, that reflects the fire inside you, that refuses to settle for mediocrity. Because deep down, you know you were made for more. Not more status, not more possessions, more meaning, more purpose, more alignment. And that kind of life only shows up when you get serious, when you stop playing small, when you stop putting your real desires on the back burner, when you stop numbing yourself with distractions and start facing your truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So don't wait. Don't wait for the right time. Don't wait for someone to validate you. Don't wait for things to fall apart to finally make a change. Do it now. Take control now. Get clear now. Because your life is happening now, not someday. And if you don't start choosing what matters now, someday will become never. Decide who you want to be. Decide what kind of life you want to create. And then build it. With intention. With courage. With discipline. You're not going to feel like it every day. You're not going to be motivated every day. That's why you need clarity. That's why you need to burn into your mind what truly matters. So when distractions show up, you know what to ignore. So when doubt creeps in, you remember what you're working for. So when the path gets hard, and it will, you don't give up, because you know why you started. Clarity is strength. Clarity is power. Clarity gives you the ability to say no to what's not important and yes to what is. And most people never get that kind of clarity, because they never slow down long enough to ask the hard questions. But if you do, if you get honest, if you dig deep, if you strip away the noise, you'll find something real. You'll find what matters. And once you find that, your whole life shifts. You start saying no without guilt. You stop comparing yourself to others. You stop wasting time on meaningless things. Because now you're focused. Now you're aligned. Now you're serious. Not in a heavy, rigid way, but in a committed way. In a way that says, I respect myself too much to waste this life. In a way that says, I know who I am, and I won't apologize for building something real. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. But you do have to decide. Decide what matters. Decide who matters. Decide what's worth your time. And then act like it. Live like it. Structure your life around it. You can't keep living distracted and expect fulfillment to find you. You've got to create space for it. You've got to build a foundation where it can grow. That's what getting serious looks like. That's what separates the ones who talk from the ones who build. And it's not about being busy. It's not about doing more. It's about doing what counts. Being present with your values, consistent with your habits, relentless with your focus. Because when you're serious, you stop making excuses. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop expecting results from things you never truly committed to. It's time to take your life seriously. Not someday. Not next month. Right now. Because the clock is ticking. And what you do with your time reveals what matters to you. Not your words. Not your intentions. Your actions. Your calendar. Your choices. So take a breath. Look around. Ask yourself, what actually matters to me? What would I build if I stopped being afraid? Who would I become if I let go of what doesn't serve me? What would change if I stopped drifting and got serious? And once you find those answers, never look back. That's your path. That's your truth. And that's the life that only you can live, but only if you get serious about it. Number 8, let go of people who do not support you. Let me tell you something that took me years to truly understand. You don't owe loyalty to people who are indifferent to your growth. You don't have to explain your dreams to people who roll their eyes when you talk about what excites you. And you certainly don't have to keep holding space for those who treat your progress like a threat instead of a reason to celebrate. Life is hard enough. Building something meaningful is hard enough. Becoming who you were meant to be already takes everything you've got. So why on earth would you carry people who drain you instead of fuel you? It's time you give yourself permission to let go. Not out of anger, not out of resentment, out of clarity. Because here's the truth. You can't move forward when you're chained to people who are committed to standing still. You can't climb with someone constantly pulling at your ankle. You can't grow when you're constantly shrinking just to fit in with the ones who never grew up. The sooner you let go of that weight, the sooner you'll breathe deeper, walk lighter, and rise faster. You ever notice how every time you decide to do better, be better, aim higher, some people start getting uncomfortable? Some start cracking jokes. Some disappear. Some find subtle ways to question you. That's not an accident. That's not your imagination. That's reality tapping you on the shoulder and whispering, "They're not meant to go with you." And it's painful, isn't it? Especially when those people were once close. Especially when they were once your whole world. Maybe it's someone from childhood. Maybe it's someone in your own home. Maybe it's a group of friends you grew up with. And now you see the gap widening. The more you change, the more they resist. The more you grow, the more they retreat. The more you speak life into your goals, the more silent they become. That silence, that's the truth revealing itself. They're not clapping because they don't want you to win. They're not encouraging you because your growth forces them to confront their own stagnation. And that's not your problem. Your job is not to stay small so others feel big. Your job is not to dim your light because someone else refuses to ignite theirs. Your job is not to beg for support that should come freely from those who claim to care. That's not love. That's not support. That's quiet sabotage disguised as friendship. If someone only shows up when you're struggling but vanishes when you're doing well, pay attention. If someone only celebrates you when you're beneath them but gets distant when you start to rise, wake up. That's not a friend. That's a weight. That's a limitation. That's a reminder of who you used to be, not who you're becoming. Letting go is hard. I get it. It's uncomfortable. It feels lonely at first. You start questioning yourself. You start wondering if maybe you're being too harsh. But ask yourself this: how many times have you tolerated people who wouldn't lift a finger for you? How many times have you watered relationships that gave you nothing back? How many times have you lowered your standards just to keep the peace? And where has that left you? Exhausted, confused, unfulfilled. There comes a time when protecting your peace means cutting ties. It doesn't mean you wish them harm. It doesn't mean you hate them. It means you finally love yourself enough to walk away from what doesn't serve your future. You stop begging for validation. You stop explaining your every move. You stop apologizing for needing support. You stop entertaining those who don't clap when you win. And that decision, it changes everything. Suddenly your energy shifts. Suddenly your confidence grows. Suddenly your dreams feel more attainable. You stop walking on eggshells. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop feeling guilty for wanting more. Because the truth is, you were never the problem. You were just in the wrong room. The wrong room will have you questioning your worth. The wrong room will laugh at your ambition. The wrong room will downplay your goals, mock your habits, and criticize your growth. But the right room will challenge you, celebrate you, sharpen you. The right room will hold you accountable, push you forward, speak life into your ideas. The right room will remind you who you are when you forget. And you'll never find the right room until you walk out of the wrong one. It takes courage to let go, especially when you've shared history, especially when you've invested time. But if someone isn't adding value to your life, they're subtracting from it. If someone isn't cheering for your success, they're rooting for your failure. If someone consistently makes you feel like you're too much or not enough, they are not your people. And it's okay to outgrow people. That's part of growth. That's part of evolution. That's part of taking yourself seriously. You can't keep dragging people who don't want to move. You can't keep giving to those who only take. You can't keep waiting for people to finally see your worth. You've got to build your life like it matters. You've got to surround yourself with energy that strengthens you. You've got to make decisions that honor your future. Letting go might feel like loss at first, but soon you'll see it was just making space. Space for peace. Space for clarity. Space for new relationships that actually match your vision. Space for opportunities that align with your growth. You don't get any of that while you're clinging to the past. You don't get any of that while you're babysitting broken friendships that stunt your progress. You get one shot at this life. One. and the people around you. They either fuel that journey or fight against it. And every day you keep people in your life who don't support you is a day you're telling yourself you don't deserve more. Stop doing that to yourself. Stop wasting energy explaining your heart to those who don't hear it. Stop placing loyalty above your own well-being. Stop mistaking history for alignment. You don't need a crowd, you need alignment. You don't need loud company. You need meaningful connection. You don't need people who tolerate you. You need people who believe in you. You need people who show up, not just when it's convenient, but when it counts. You need people who understand that support isn't just about showing up. It's about standing up. Standing up for your potential. Standing up for your growth. Standing up for your right to live a meaningful life. That kind of support is rare, but you'll never find it if you stay surrounded by those who drain you. You've got to create the space first. You've got to be bold enough to let go. You've got to be wise enough to recognize who's not clapping for you anymore. And then you walk away, not with bitterness, but with a full heart. A heart that knows what it deserves. A heart that's no longer begging to be seen. A heart that's focused on the future. That's what growth looks like. Not more noise. Not more followers. Not more people in your circle. More alignment. More peace. More truth. More clarity. It starts when you finally say no more. No more explaining yourself to people who don't listen. No more trying to win the approval of those who don't value you. No more giving your time to people who wouldn't give theirs. No more begging for basic respect. No more tolerating low standards just because they're familiar. You deserve relationships that match your energy. You deserve conversations that lift your spirit. You deserve a circle that challenges your mind and nurtures your soul. You deserve a space that celebrates your wins like they're their own. And if you don't have that yet, don't settle. Create it. Because the truth is, your future is too important to keep dragging people from your past. Your vision is too powerful to keep explaining it to the blind. Your energy is too precious to keep giving it away to those who never give it back. Let go. Not because you're angry, not because you failed, but because you finally realized you're worth more. And when you do that, something changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You plan differently. You trust yourself more. You dream bigger. You stop looking for permission. You stop asking for approval. You start living like you mean it. Because now you're surrounded by the right people. Now your circle is filled with energy that matches your growth. Now you've made space for the ones who push you higher, not hold you back. Now you're finally walking your path. Free, focused, and supported. And that changes everything. Number 9. Track your actions daily to face your truth. You want to know how to change your life? You start by telling yourself the truth. Not the version of the truth that makes you feel good. Not the watered down story you've been telling people to keep up appearances. I'm talking about the raw, unfiltered truth. The one you avoid when you're alone, when the lights are off, and there's no one left to impress. That truth. Because until you face it, nothing changes. Nothing gets fixed. Nothing improves. You just keep repeating the same habits, the same stories, the same excuses, and then wonder why you're stuck. But here's the trick. You don't face that truth once in a while. You face it every single day. And the way you do that is by tracking your actions. You don't need another book. You don't need another course. You need a mirror. A mirror that shows you how you live, what you actually do, how you spend your hours, where your energy goes. Because that's the truth. That's the real data. Your actions are your proof. Your calendar is your character. Your decisions repeated daily are your identity. The rest is just talk. Most people don't want that kind of truth. They'd rather live in a fantasy, telling themselves they're doing their best, when deep down they know they're giving half effort. They'd rather say, I'm trying, than write down exactly what they did today and see it in black and white. That's why change feels impossible. It's not because people don't want it. It's because they won't look at their life long enough to recognize what's actually going wrong. So what happens when you start tracking your actions? The lies begin to fall apart. The stories you've built to protect your comfort zone start to crumble. And yeah, it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It makes you squirm a little. But that discomfort, That's the beginning of growth. Because now you're seeing things for what they really are, not what you hope they are. Now you can stop pretending. Now you can stop blaming. Now you can start building. When you wake up in the morning, you've got a choice. You can move through your day on autopilot, scrolling, reacting, procrastinating, and then lie to yourself at night, saying you were busy. Or you can take control. You can start recording what actually happened. You can track your habits. What time you got out of bed, how long you stayed on your phone, whether or not you worked on your goals, whether or not you showed up for your body, your mind, your purpose. It's not about being perfect. It's about being honest. Because honesty builds awareness, and awareness builds discipline, and discipline builds power. If I followed you for 24 hours, silently, no judgment, just observing, what would I see? Would I see someone who says they want to change but keeps doing the same things that broke them? Would I see someone who talks about big dreams but can't manage their morning routine? Would I see someone who says they're all in, but gives up the second it gets uncomfortable? That's the kind of truth you need to see for yourself. That's why tracking is so powerful. When you track your actions, you can't hide. You either did it or you didn't. You either made the call or you didn't. You either worked on your craft or you avoided it. There's no room for fluff, no space for ego, just reality. And that's what makes it transformational. Because once you see it, you can fix it. You want better results? Start tracking what you eat, how you sleep, how much you move. You want to grow your income? Track how many people you reached out to, how many offers you made, how many hours you worked on skill development. You want to build confidence? Track how many times you followed through on what you said you'd do. Confidence isn't magic, it's consistency. And you don't get consistent without awareness. Let me tell you something else. Most people ignore. Your habits don't lie. Your patterns don't lie. If you wake up late every day, that's not a time problem. That's a decision problem. If you keep saying you'll work out but never do, that's not a schedule issue. That's a commitment issue. And the only way to confront that, really confront it, is to see it laid out, raw, every day in your own handwriting. You start writing it down, and you'll see the truth becomes impossible to ignore. That hour you thought you were productive, turns out you were scrolling. That quick break lasted 45 minutes. That hard day was filled with distractions and delays you allowed. And when you finally see that clearly, you stop blaming the world. You stop saying, I don't have time. You realize you've had time. You just haven't had ownership. Ownership changes everything. When you start tracking your actions, you stop lying to yourself. You stop exaggerating your efforts. You stop fooling yourself into thinking you're doing okay. Because you're not here to be okay. You're here to rise. You're here to evolve. You're here to dominate your potential. You don't do that through guessing. You do that through data, through discipline, through daily honesty. Tracking is not a punishment. It's a gift. It's the tool that separates the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the executors. It's how you close the gap between who you are and who you say you want to be. Here's the other thing. When you track your actions, you begin to notice patterns. You notice what drains you, who distracts you, what triggers you to quit, what hours you work best, what environment pulls the best out of you. You stop living by default and start living by design. And that right there, that's power. Imagine this. At the end of every day, you take 5 minutes. That's it. 5 minutes to review your day. What did you do? What did you avoid? What did you commit to? What did you break? Did your actions move you closer or farther from your goal? 5 minutes a day, and your entire life would start to shift. Not because you're doing more, but because you're seeing more. You're seeing the truth. And the truth is always the beginning of change. Some people go years without doing this. Decades. They wake up, live on autopilot, complain, wish, try, fail, repeat. And they never pause to ask, what am I actually doing every day? What am I actually becoming? Don't let that be you. Don't waste your life assuming you're making progress. Know it, see it, track it. Because the greatest illusion is that time will fix things. It won't. Time doesn't change your life. Your choices do. And your choices are built on your awareness. You can't change what you don't track. You can't fix what you refuse to face. You don't rise by chance. You rise by choice. And that choice begins when you stop guessing and start measuring. You want to build momentum. You want to feel that fire again. You want to walk through your days with purpose, with focus, with pride. Then start by knowing what's actually happening. Every hour, every task, every win, every loss, every promise kept, every excuse made. Track it, review it, learn from it, adjust it. You're not lost. You're just unaware. You're not lazy. You're just unstructured. You're not broken. You're just unaccounted for. Start tracking and the path appears. Suddenly you'll see what's working and what's not. Suddenly you'll see where your energy leaks. Suddenly you'll see the difference between effort and efficiency. And that awareness, that's the advantage. It's not sexy. It's not flashy. But it's the secret. The ones who track, rise. The ones who reflect, evolve. The ones who study their life, live it at a higher level. This is how you stop living on repeat. This is how you stop drifting. This is how you stop feeling like every day slips through your fingers. Because now you're anchored in truth. Now you're grounded in data. Now you're building not with emotion, but with direction. It's not easy. Some days you won't like what you see. You'll realize how much time you've wasted. You'll see how many excuses you made. You'll face how often you chose comfort over progress. But that pain, that sting of truth, that's what makes you sharper. That's what wakes you up. That's what forces you to raise your standards. Don't wait until things fall apart. Don't wait until you're desperate. Don't wait until you hit rock bottom. Start now. Track now. Take control now. Every single person who built something great started here. With truth. With clarity. With awareness. And if you're willing to do the same, if you're willing to face what's real, not what's comfortable, you'll have the power to change everything. Your future isn't waiting. It's watching. Watching what you do today. Watching what you tolerate. Watching what you write down. Watching how honest you're willing to be. So ask yourself, what did you do today? What did you avoid? What did you promise? What did you prove? Write it down. Look at it. Learn from it. And then do it again tomorrow. And again the day after that. This is the work that makes your life unrecognizable. This is the discipline that separates the average from the unstoppable. You want the truth. Track your actions. Then you'll know exactly who you are. And more importantly, you'll know exactly who you're becoming. Number 10. Invest your effort in what makes you stronger. What you choose to put your energy into day after day shapes you. It doesn't just shape what you have, it shapes who you are. Every hour you give, every ounce of focus you spend, every drop of effort, those aren't just passing moments. They are investments, and the truth is, your life is the return on that investment. That's why it's critical to step back and ask yourself one question that most people avoid. Is what I'm doing making me stronger or weaker? Because if you're not getting stronger, mentally, emotionally, physically, financially, then your effort is being wasted. Wasted on distractions. Wasted on comfort. Wasted on the temporary. And life doesn't reward effort alone, it rewards focused effort. It rewards direction. It rewards the man or woman who understands what's worth building and throws themselves into it without apology. The moment you stop wasting energy on things that keep you weak, everything changes. Your mind starts to clear. Your energy stops leaking. Your confidence rises. See, most people are exhausted, not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing the wrong things. They're pouring themselves into habits, people, and patterns that weaken their spirit, drain their focus, and give nothing back. And then they wonder why life feels heavy, why they feel stuck, why progress is slow. It's not life, it's not fate, it's not bad luck. It's misdirected effort. That's the truth nobody wants to hear. You have to ask yourself, what are you building every day? What are you reinforcing? Because the more you do something, the stronger it gets. That means if you complain every day, you're getting better at being negative. If you skip the gym every day, you're training your body to weaken. If you scroll your phone every morning before doing anything important, you're reinforcing distraction as a habit. These things don't seem like much, but they add up. And the more often you choose what makes you weak, the harder it becomes to choose what makes you strong. But the opposite is also true. You can decide right now that you're going to start building strength in your life, one action at a time. You can choose to invest in routines that build your focus. You can choose to engage in challenges that build your character. You can choose to put your time into people who push you to be better, not those who drain your energy or pull you backward. Strength is not something you are born with. It's something you build. It's forged through effort that is directed with clarity and purpose. And let's get something straight. Strength doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean having everything figured out. It means showing up anyway. It means doing the hard thing when you don't feel like it. It means choosing discipline over distraction. It means setting a higher standard for yourself and refusing to settle for anything less. That's strength. That's where power lives. That's where real self-respect is found. Not in pretending you're strong, but in doing what it takes to become it. And here's the part that separates the few from the many. You won't feel like doing what makes you stronger most days. You will feel resistance. You will want to take the easier route. You will want to push it off. That's human. But if you give in to that every time, you train yourself to lose. You train yourself to fold under pressure. And the worst part is, it becomes a pattern. One day of skipping turns into a week. 1 week becomes a month. Before you know it, the things that used to build you have vanished from your life, replaced by comfort and excuses. So what do? You get honest with yourself. You cut through the noise. You stop making decisions based on how you feel and start making decisions based on what makes you grow. You stop negotiating with weakness. You stop delaying. You stop wasting time on things that don't push you forward. You make a list. You decide what builds you mentally, emotionally, physically, and you commit to doing those things daily. Even when it's inconvenient. Even when you're tired. Especially when you're tired. Because the truth is, strength is built in the moments where it's easiest to choose weakness. When you're tired but you train anyway. When you're anxious but you speak anyway. When you're uncertain but you act anyway. That's where growth is. That's where resilience is created. That's where the version of you that you respect is built. You don't stumble into strength. You build it like a fortress. One disciplined action at a time. You make it who you are. You can't keep throwing your energy into distractions and then complain about your lack of progress. You can't keep surrounding yourself with people who don't care about growth and expect to grow. You can't keep escaping from hard things and expect life to get easier. That's not how it works. Life doesn't get easier. You get stronger, but only if you do the work. Only if you face the truth. Only if you stop pretending that effort alone is enough and start making sure your effort is going in the right direction. So how do you know if something is making you stronger? Ask yourself, does it challenge me? Does it build my discipline? Does it require me to stretch, to adapt, to rise? Does it leave me more focused, more clear, more capable? And maybe most importantly, does it push me closer to the person I want to become? If the answer is yes, keep doing it. If the answer is no, it's time to reassess. Because your energy is limited. Your time is limited. Your days are passing whether you use them or not, and you don't get them back. You've got to understand, the effort you give today is shaping your future. If you give your best to comfort, you'll get a comfortable life. If you give your best to strength, you'll get a powerful life. The difference is, only one of those options will prepare you to handle what life throws at you. Only one of those options will give you peace when challenges hit. Only one of those options will give you the ability to stand tall when everything is on the line. That's what strength gives you. That's why it's worth every drop of effort. You've got to stop asking for motivation. You've got to stop waiting for passion. You've got to stop depending on perfect circumstances. Start acting like someone who respects their own future. Someone who protects their mental state. Someone who defends their peace by making decisions that align with their growth. It's not about doing what's trendy. It's not about doing what's easy. It's about doing what matters. And what matters is that you become the kind of person who doesn't fold when life hits hard. Because here's what nobody tells you. Life will hit hard. It will test your patience, your resolve, your character. And when it does, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall back to your level of training. You fall back to the habits you've built. That's why you can't afford to waste effort. You can't afford to delay your development. You can't afford to keep putting off what builds you. You need that strength. Now, not later, not someday. Today, and the only way you build it is by investing in it. So take a look at your routines. Look at your conversations. Look at how you spend your mornings, your evenings. Are those things building your strength, or are they making you weaker without you even realizing it? Because every small choice counts. Every action matters. Every decision you make is either making deposits into your strength or withdrawals from it. And over time, those small choices become who you are. That's how it works. That's how life works. It doesn't reward what you say. It rewards what you do, consistently. The truth is, you don't need more time. You don't need more talent. You don't need a better past. You need better direction. You need better standards. You need the courage to let go of things that don't serve you anymore, even if they're familiar, even if they're comfortable. You need the strength to face the discomfort that comes with growth. Because the longer you wait, the harder it becomes. The longer you delay, the deeper the habits dig in. You've got to decide now, what kind of person are you going to become? The only way forward is through focused effort. Not scattered, not random, not emotional. Focused, intentional, relentless. You put your effort where it counts, into what makes you stronger, every single day. That's how you transform. That's how you build a life you can be proud of. That's how you rise, even when life tries to pull you down. And when you do that, when you truly invest in your strength daily, you won't need to chase success. It will be drawn to you, because the world respects those who respect themselves. The world rewards those who are built to last.